welcome to today's video. So today I have a little unboxing, and you might be able to see here on the box it's a couple of cactus plants. Now I've had this delivered to me and I've been hanging on to it for well over a week now, so I just haven't got round to unboxing it. So I hope that these cactus plants are going to be okay, because as you can see they are astrophytums. So we have an Astrophytum harlequin and an Astrophytum asterias hybrid. Now they are small little plants. I bought them as young cactus plants. Okay, so let's get unboxing. Okay, so these are going to be very small little cactus plants. So this is the Astrophytum harlequin. So these are actually a lot smaller than I thought they were going to be. Hopefully it's going to be okay because it has a very small root system there. But this Astrophytum harlequin is meant to have this sort of red coloration. So if you take a closer look at these roots, you can see that they are healthy and they do have a slight fluffy appearance. So that's a good sign that this is actively growing and it's still alive. There doesn't appear to be anything wrong with the base of the cactus. So this part here looks to be firm and no rotting. So let's move on now to the Astrophytum asterias hybrid. So wow, this is a very cute little cactus. And I really like the fluffy areoles on here. Really nice, and nice speckling. And you can see a good sign to see that it's actively growing. As you can see these bright green areas in between the rib margins, where it's now starting to swell and expand. It's starting to grow nicely. So the roots look to be okay, but you can see as we look underneath this young cactus, it does have some wrinkling here. It might just need a good watering because it is a young cactus and will require a bit more water than an adult cactus. But you do still need to be very careful when you're watering Astrophytum in general, because they will rot very quickly if you water them and they can't dry out quickly enough. So as long as you have a growing medium or a substrate which can dry off, preferably within 2 or 3 days, then that should be fine. So I just had a good look at this off camera, very closely under my bright light, to check for signs of mealybugs, because this kind of wrinkling and deterioration in a cactus, especially at the base, and if you have an attack of mealybugs at the roots, or whether they're colonizing at the base of your cactus, so which you would only find when you uproot your cactus during a regular repotting. But I can't see any mealybugs, so I hope this is just because it's thirsty. So the roots here look to be fine. So I'm going to be potting these up into probably 5 or 6 centimetre pots, especially for that smaller Astrophytum there, the red one. So here's the potting mix I'm going to be using for these young Astrophytums. So I've just made this up right now, and so I've custom made it, so I'm not using my normal potting mix. So what we've got here is my bird grit, which has the crushed shells and seashells in there. We have the activated charcoal granules, Kyodama, a small amount of cocoa coir, Now here I've got granite grit gravel. Then here I've got some bone meal powder, which I always add as standard. Now here I've got my fine grade molar clay granules. Now it's looking dark because I've actually washed it and rinsed it first, which I really love using this stuff. And then here I've added some lava rock. This is the Lapillo, the red one, and I've also rinsed that. The reason why I've not got my bark chips in here is because they're a little bit too big for these tiny little cactus plants, and I wouldn't usually use bark chips for young little tiny plants like these. So that's why I've gone with just adding the cocoa coir. So all of what you see here is very well draining and permeable, and it's going to be perfect for those little plants. So the only thing here that will really hold on to water is this molar clay, so that absorbs it and holds it and releases it as the plants need it. And then you've got the cocoa coir as well, which will hold moisture, because everything else here will just let the water pass straight through. And I decided I was going to add these because the lava rocks do have sort of, basically in layman's terms, they will add nutrition for the plants basically. So they will release nutrients and macronutrients which they have within the rocks themselves. And obviously Astrophytum are very rock hungry, so this has got all the limestone that they'll need, and they absolutely love granite grit. It's a nice fine grade and it's very, very gravelly. So this is going to be really easy to pot these tiny roots into. So here with this little baby Astrophytum, remembering it's in a 5.5 centimetre pot. It's only about a centimetre in diameter, the actual plant. That I've planted it at the right level here, so I haven't buried the neck because that would obviously lead to rot. And then with the Astrophytum asterias, it's sitting proud of the surface of the substrate, so it's not buried too deep either. And I just wanted to show you a few of the other Astrophytum cactus that I have, just in case you're not familiar with Astrophytum. That's the one I've had for the longest. So this one is my favourite because it's one of the very first Astrophytums I ever got, and it's still with me today. And I've had it for, it'll be 4 years this summer that I've had this cactus. So this is another one of my favourites. This is Astrophytum quadricostatum, obviously because it's got 4 ribs. And I had this from when it was small, when I originally bought it, and it's now currently displayed in a 7 centimetre diameter pot. So I've watched this gradually and slowly grow over the past few years. So this is an Astrophytum monzuka. So this one was heavily flecked. And you can see those prominent markings going down the rib lines, almost like a V shape. So this one has to be very carefully watered, so it has even less water than a standard Astrophytum would receive, because these are very prone to splitting in between the ribs. If you overwater them, they're split, because the epidermis on these kind of Astrophytum are much more harder and they're not very flexible. So this Astrophytum was a rescue cactus, and it's looking a little bit off colour, but that's how I bought it. It's a very old one, and I bought that in October 2020, and it appears to be doing well. But as you might know, if you're very familiar with Astrophytum, all can look well on the surface, but all sorts can be going on underneath, because they're so hard, like potatoes. When they're rotting inside, you have no idea, and it can go on for a year or more before you realise that your cactus is turning to mush inside. This one here is doing really well, and it's really plumped up since I got it from Catherine of Purple and Thorns here on YouTube. So Catherine, this one's doing really well, and it's really nice and green. So this next Astrophytum is some kind of hybrid. It didn't come with any name when I got it. I originally got this from Poland, and I got it with a batch of plants. So this one's really, really beautiful. It's got really large, fluffy areoles, and it almost has like a crown type shape. So you can see those beautiful fluffy areoles there. A lot of them do have these extra spines that come out from there. So this one has actually flowered for me before, and I'll put a picture up on screen of when it flowered for you. But this is actually displayed in a 7 to 8 centimetre square pot. And it really does spill over the sides of the pot, so it's a really nice sized Astrophytum. So this one I originally got from the Cactus Shed, and this is an Astrophytum myriostigma Capricorn, and this actually flowered last year for me after some time of inactivity, so that did really well last year. Just over there I've got another small one, also from the Cactus Shed. That's displayed in a 6 to 7 centimetre diameter terracotta pot there. These ones that you can see here, those 6 main ones that you can see on screen, so all of these were quite small when I put them in here, but I think that they have grown quite a bit, and this one was quite slanted, and I keep turning it every now and then it straightens up, so it just seems to want to grow like that. And I'm perhaps thinking that it could turn into one of those columnar type Astrophytums, because it seems to be growing tall compared to all the other ones that I do have. This one's Astrophytum senile aureum, and this one here is also Astrophytum senile aureum, and I got both of those two from the Cactus Shed. That's why they have labels on at the moment. And you'll notice that this one's got a lot of flecking or speckling, which are those little white fluffy dots, and this one's quite bare, so you can see how varied these cactus plants can look. So you think that possibly they were different cactus, but they're not. They do vary in the amount of speckling that they can have. So this one here didn't come with a label, but it's probably, I suspect, a similar one to these, but it just has slightly less speckling than this one. And then we have one here which is heavily speckled, so that looks to be possibly more of a Capricorn perhaps. So this one here is an Astrophytum myriostigma nudum fucuru, which means it has all these extra rib-like margins in between the ribs. So that's what those funny lumps are. And this is actually grafted onto a very, very small stalk, which is very low down, so you can't really see it. But what I have noticed with this as time's gone on, it's got all these brown patches on it, and I'm not really sure what's going on with it. So I don't know whether the stock that it's grafted on is maybe deteriorating or something. I just have no idea what's going on with that just yet. I keep observing it and watching what's going on. I might take it out of its pot and check the grafting stock that it's attached to. So I just want to show you the astrophytums I've got over here, which still need to be repotted. So we've got an Astrophytum myristigma nudum here. That was from B&Q. Then here, we've got two more here. So these ones are the same. So they're Astrophytum myristigma. Got some nice speckling on those ones. So they're in the plastic pots there that you can see. So they're 5.5 centimetre pots. So these two astrophytums at the back are also a recent addition. So just a top tip, you see them in these 5.5 centimetre pots. So if you look on the back, it will tell you the size. This is standard and they will require repotting pretty much straight away, but you'll get away with maybe up to a year, but really after that your plant will start to deteriorate. So you can see here, here's the root ball. So it's just made up of that standard potting mix, which is like peat, and it's not very good. So once it dries out, it's really hard to re-wet. So it's not going to last much longer in that. So if you're interested in repotting your plants, I have done plenty of repotting videos, and especially I have featured ones on repotting astrophytums and particularly repotting them from these tiny little pots and how to take all the soil off. So it's been quite a few weeks now since I potted up these little astrophytum babies, and this one's still going strong, and it has put on some new growth, and you can tell that from the centre. You can see that reddish coloration now is moving down the ribs. Now I don't know whether this will hold on to its red coloration, as I'd mentioned at the beginning of the video when I was repotting, that it does have this red coloration and that's why it's the harlequin. But to be quite honest with you, I don't know whether that's going to stay very long. It's a very pretty little baby astrophytum and I'm really happy with how it's growing so far. So it's been watered a few times now. So here's a look at the Astrophytum asterias baby. So this one seems to be doing okay. It hasn't died on me yet, and it's been watered a few times, just like the other Astrophytum. But the other day, I found two giant mealybugs sat on it. So I got rid of those really quickly. I've had an outbreak of mealybugs recently. They've been a pain in the bottom to get rid of. So last but not least, I'm just going to show you these very quickly. So these were sown from seed. So these are Astrophytum ornatum. And believe it or not, they were sown in May. I think that says May, 4th of May 2020. Now there's only two of them left, but they are still alive and kicking. And I do keep watering them, and they seem to be the only ones that have survived out of this pot. So you can see their green epidermis at the top and the spines. And you can see as you go lower down its stem, they always have a red coloration. So despite all the mealybugs, they've kept away from these two little seedlings, so they seem to be doing really well, although they're not growing very fast. So I keep them here on the bottom shelf, and they're underneath my Love Shing grow light bar, which is 80-watt LED, and it's a mixture of red, white and like creamy white lights, and it's been a really good grow light bar. It has helped to produce buds on my echinopsis like this one here. This one had a giant bud right in the centre when we had a nice burst of warm weather, and then we had rain and it went cool again. Then it dropped off, and now we've got back again the nice hot heat and sun. I've got another little bud here, but to be honest with you, I don't really see much with the buds on the echinopsis. They don't tend to go through and flower because the heat just doesn't stay consistent enough. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed this video, and thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel.